deal right here. If they take our Second Amendment away, they're going to take every other amendment in the Bill of Rights. Every single one. Don't kid yourself. The Second Amendment is the protector of the other 9. And an assault on the Second Amendment is an assault on the Bill of Rights and our personal freedoms and our state sovereignty. We have got to draw the line.
If there's anything that I can tell our legislators, it is bad guys don't follow the law. And you know, I think the lawmakers, they created these gun-free zones naively thinking that it would protect people. But you see, actually what happens is the opposite. Gun-free zones are killing zones. And it tells the bad guys, the criminals, that everyone in this building, in this establishment, cannot defend themselves. So it's almost an open invitation for violence.
Any society that has taken the guns away, the crime rates go up. You can look at the FBI statistics, you can look at other people's statistics, other countries, you can see the collapse, how there's more crime.
Where do bad guys routinely go if they want to make a statement? Schools. Why do they go there? Because they know that the reason they can go there to make their statement and make it huge is because there's nobody there to stop them. All right? Now, the people who are making the laws understand the dangers that those folks represent. And so what they will tell you, and this is up, I mean, they put it in writing and so on, in the event that someone comes into your school with a gun and starts shooting people, barricade yourself in your room and maybe break a desk and get a chair leg or a desk leg, and if he comes in, try and whack him with it or whatever. Basically what they're saying is you should defend yourself, but they won't allow you to defend yourself adequately or to meet the force that's being used against you with a comparable or even a superior force. That is ludicrous. You already admit that the situation exists where I might have to defend myself, but you will not allow me the tools to do that with. It's just crazy. Okay? Whether it's the theater in Colorado or Sandy Hook or Columbine or Fort Hood, all of those things happen in gun-free zones.
How do you feel about Obama making the 19 executive orders? What do you think about the proposals that are coming up?
There's no real words that you can say about it. It's just attempting to not even take the people's words, not even take the people's opinions, and just oppress you and take your rights away, and it's not right.
I believe that the people that are so far left attack any way they can and every chance they get, and they exploit every opportunity that they can to push their agenda. But they want a completely different country than we have here. And I would love for them to all go to Europe or something and start their own. But because this is America and we have a Constitution and Bill of Rights to restrain these people.
Liberals sometimes think more on the emotional level, what they wish could happen rather than what's scientifically possible, and the reality is it's a dangerous world, and responsible gun ownership protects your life better than anything else.
The Second Amendment does not have to do with hunting. It has to do with our rights to protect ourselves, not only in our homes, but in our country, which is our home. But it has to do with protecting our freedoms, protecting our Constitution. And if our government were ever to become a tyrannical government, that we would have the right to take that government back. And you know, you got to ask yourself, this is pretty much what our forefathers were trying to warn us about. So I don't believe there can be any compromise on the Second Amendment. I believe that everyone has a right to bear arms, and we should be allowed to do so.
It's my God-given right found in the Bill of Rights to defend my life, my family, and my property. That is our right, that is all of our right, and we're going to defend it. Now what I've done, some of you may have heard of, and I need your help. I filed a bill recently and I want to read it to you. Any federal law, statute, rule, regulation, or executive order implemented or executed on or after January 1, 2013 shall be unenforceable within the borders of this state if the law, statute, rule, regulation, or executive order attempts. If this law attempts to ban or restrict ownership of a semi-automatic firearm, firearm accessory, or ammunition. B, requires require any firearm accessory, or ammunition to be registered in any manner. It's prohibited. Secondly, no public employee, public official, or dealer selling any firearm in this state shall enforce or attempt to enforce any federal law, statute, rule, regulation, or executive order as described in this subsection. Ladies and gentlemen, that's HB 42.
I think this is something that we need to fight for. Something we need to keep is our Second Amendment. Without that right to bear arms, the rest of the Constitution wouldn't exist. So with that being said, I'm going to fight to the death to keep our country free, to keep my Second Amendment rights. I'm going to fight for your kids, my kids, and all the kids of this country to be guaranteed the same freedoms and liberties that we were all blessed with growing up.
If Obama or Congress gave the orders to confiscate firearms in America, do you think that the United States military would obey those orders?
I believe that there will be an element within the military that might do orders like that. They might there might be a mob mindset with them. They might look at the American people as they did with some of the Iraqis and Afghanistan people. But I believe that the vast majority of them will not obey those orders. And they're supposed to be defending this country, not attacking its citizens. And they know the rights and the freedoms that they're fighting for. And I do not believe that they would fulfill an order like that. And and I believe that's why our government is reaching out to other foreign powers around the world to get them to join forces, and that those people might be called in to disarm the people.
They're saying that we'll never have somebody rise up in that position and be a tyrant, that that'll never happen in America.
Then they need to turn around and look at the person sitting in the White House. Simple as that. I mean, it's already pretty obvious the things that he's done. I mean, the guy has committed treason on more times than I can even count. When he's chaired the UN Council, everybody is all clapping. Oh, great, the first president to ever do that. Well, yeah, there's a reason why he's the first president to ever do that. Because presidents are not allowed to swear allegiance to any other organization, nation, group. The only person they're sworn to is the United States of America. So when he did that, everybody was like, oh, well, he didn't know. Well, if I'm driving down the street doing 55 and a 45 and I didn't know it was a 45, I'm still getting a ticket. He still committed treason when he put his hand up and swore an oath to the United Nations. But nobody said anything about that. And then we could talk about all the other things that he's done. And everybody just turns around and ignores it. He's already a dictator. And so with that being said, let's be clear. Gun owners are not anti-government. We're very pro-government. But let's be real. Let's support the government that our forefathers fought and died for. Not for Obama, what he has in mind.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do. We're drawing the line, and some people are saying you can't do it. You know what? I don't know if we can do it or not. But by God, I'm not going to wait to find out, because the people at the Alamo who died didn't think they could do it either. And they did it.
We're standing here for everybody's rights today, because they know, if you don't have that, they're going to realize that the right that maybe they're more into is their freedom of speech. Well, then guess what? That's coming next if we get rid of this, because without the security of that, you don't have anything.
We need to be able to defend ourselves and our families, and I think it's really, really important. And I wish there were more media that would talk to victims of violent crime that hold an opposite point of view, that actually are gun owners and believe in the right of self-defense. And we don't see that in the media. We have Pierce Morgan.
Go back to eat.
They don't want them.
And Pierce he'll put pro-gun people on there, but then he won't even let them talk. They can't even give their point of view. And the media is so biased and so unfair. I want you guys to know that it really touches my heart to see so many people here defend our liberty and stand up for our Second Amendment, because all of these people people that you see on TV that have been victimized, I feel horrible for them. But the media makes it seem like if you're a gun owner and you support owning a gun, that you didn't care about these poor children at Sandy Hook Elementary. They make it seem like you're the bad guy, and you're not. The NRA is made up of moms, dads, brothers, sisters, military, law enforcement,
That's right.
law-abiding Americans. We are the face of America.
The most effective deterrent to gun violence, whether it be in a school, a restaurant, a theater, wherever, is other people there who are armed, who are not crazy people, and who will defend themselves. Just miles from Columbine, there's a large church in Colorado that right around the time of Columbine, somebody walked into this church with weapons prepared to do violence. And an armed security guard who was there with the permission of the church and the pastor, it was a woman in fact, stepped around the corner, identified herself, pointed her weapon at the guy, and when he wouldn't drop his, she shot and killed him. The guy who opened up in the mall in Oregon recently, this didn't get a lot of press, but it's my understanding that there was a carry permit holder legally carrying there who drew his .40 caliber weapon and pointed it at the shooter. His weapon, he did not fire because he had situational awareness. He saw people behind the man, understood that if he pulled the trigger, he might actually hurt an innocent bystander. But the guy's gun jammed, and he saw the man with the weapon pointed at him. He went inside a store, cleared the jam from his weapon, and his next shot was to take his own life. Armed people. And who do they send? When things happen, they send cops with guns. We understand the nature of how to combat gun violence. It's not by having gun-free zones. It's by having everyday, ordinary, normal, non-crazy Americans exercising their God-given Second Amendment rights to defend themselves.
I took an oath. You know, I served 14 years in the United States Army, okay? I took an oath to defend my country against all enemies, foreign and domestic, not to protect the tyrannical government. And whether a person agrees with me or not, that's okay. That's what this country's about. It's about having debate, peaceful debates. It's about being able to say what's on your mind. Doesn't necessarily mean I have to agree with you. And I don't agree with the progressives, the liberals, who want to take my firearms away. But at the same time, if there is a revolution or if there is something that happens in this country, who's the first person they're going to be coming to? Guys like me with the guns, okay? So with that being said, yes, I will protect them. I don't agree with them. I don't agree with their ideology. I don't agree with their beliefs. But at the same time, they're Americans. And I'm going to do whatever I can to protect them.
My son, when he was 18, raised his right hand and took an oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States from all enemies, foreign and domestic. If he's not smart enough to understand what it is he's defending, then why is he being asked to take that oath?
A true patriot doesn't believe in his government. A true patriot believes in his country. That's what I believe liberty is. Not believing in what your government says, because a lot of them could be corrupt. Believe in what your people say. Believe in what the people who live in this country, who know what you're going through. That's what I believe liberty is. And if someone tries to take that away, then that's what a true patriot should do. Fight for it.
What people don't realize is this slow incremental subversion of our rights that's happened throughout history and time. While people have been asleep at the wheel, they've been watching TV, Dancing with the Stars, whatever they're doing, they're ignoring that every single year the things that are going on in Congress, so we're losing more freedoms and more rights, like you talked about, the National Defense Authorization Act, HR 347, the Patriot Act, all these things that are stripping away and eroding our freedoms. People like you, people like me, anybody that truly loves this country and what we stand for needs to educate people. They need to take a stand. They need to be unpopular. They need to they need to get involved in politics. They need to get involved locally. They need to talk to the law enforcement and the military. They need to do these things, and it's going to be a process of waking people up from the sleep that they've been under, because people want the rights in this country, but they don't want the responsibilities that go along with them. And our responsibility is to stand up and defend it and to keep a watchful eye. This is our country. We the people, this is our country. The government is our employees. And if they get out of control and they get unruly, then it is up to people to rein them back in again.
And I hope our members in Congress, and I hope our members in the state of Tennessee that are representing us in Washington can hear us today, because this is a time to draw a line in the sand. don't tread on Tennessee.
I think that the more we battle on the state level on these issues with nullification and interposition, that's the easiest way when it's a constitutional right issue like this. Because on a basic level, the federal government is supposed to protect our Second Amendment rights, not take them away. Through the 13th Amendment, they should even stop our states from banning guns. But the federal government is not responsive to individuals. It's responsive only to huge money. And the state government is responsive to individuals. If you get 20 of your friends together and you call a state rep, they're going to freak out thinking that they're going to lose their race if they don't support your issues.
We just got to stay in touch with our representatives, set a great example, make sure our friends are doing that. I'm sure everybody here is doing that. We need to make sure we are spreading the word on that, and because that's the answer. We've got to make our voices heard.
Our sovereignty is at stake when we allow the federal government to come and assault the Second Amendment. Today is only a beginning. I want to thank you for being here, but here's what I need you to do. Here's what Senator Ketchum and Representative Sparks and Senator Beavers, here's what we need you to do. We need you to contact at least one more person. And then we need you to go to your email inbox, your outbox, and we need you to email your state representative and your state senator and say, we demand that you sign on to House Bill 42. We've got to push back against Washington at the start.
I don't fear that the government's going to knock on my door tonight, but where we're going, I can envision that 25 years from now, or 50 years from now, or if it gets, I guess, really accelerated, maybe 10 years from now, whatever, they could knock on my door or my children's door. All we have to do is look at Europe, and all we have to do is look at what has happened there over the hundreds of years of their existence. They have had times of freedom, and they have had times of tyranny. We have shown ourselves capable of oppression on vast scales in the Soviet Union, in China, and communist societies. But we've also shown ourselves capable of doing that coming out of democratic societies. Adolf Hitler came out of basically a democratic setting. Now, he himself was not interested in democracy. He didn't care about the people, but he grew up in that and came to power there because people were not vigilant. They allowed the wolf into the hen house. Guys, do we have wolves? I don't know. We need to be awake. We need to be constantly vigilant. Otherwise, the tyranny that we know exists will be on our door at some point. Am I afraid? No. There's guys like we spent time with today, hundreds of them here in the state. But if we disarm them, if we beat them down, if we arrest them and do them, eventually we will have a citizenry that not only cannot defend itself, it doesn't even want to. It's too afraid.
Right now, in the militias alone, and I'm not talking about, these little backwoods, but I'm talking real organized militias. We have 12.5 million people, okay? We expect another 10 to 12% out of that is going to rise, okay? People don't think that's a lot of people, but out of 310 to 320 million people, 33% of the population, or 10 to 12% of the population, is anywhere between 33 to 36 million people. And that doesn't include the 12 million highly trained militia members that we already have. And you got to remember, these guys are trained like guys like me, who served 14 years in the Army. So take that for what it's worth. But the bottom line is, no military force in history, no matter what kind of advanced technology they have, has ever faced that many people with those kind of odds.
I know each and every one of you would like to say the same thing as Charlton Heston did. For my cold, dead hands, they'll have to pry that gun out of my hand.